Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to have a go at modelling the Hylian shield from The Legend of Zelda. So first thing we need to do is insert our reference image, so I'm going to hold down space, click in the middle and go to front view, then go to view, image plane and import image. Then I've got it saved on my desktop, there it is, hit OK. I'm then going to hold down spacebar, go to create, polygon primitive and go to a cube. So I'm going to click it, hold down R and just scale it up a little bit first of all. I'm also going to turn symmetry on because I'm going to model half of it and it'll just mirror it across. So I've got symmetry here. I'm going to be in X, so I'm going to right click vertex just to check. So if I select one, it selects the other one. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just add in a couple of multi-cuts there. I'm going to right click, go to vertex, shading, and X-ray to turn that on just so I can see what I'm doing. And we'll start grabbing these, press W to move, start to match up our reference image. Now I'm definitely going to have to add in a few more edge loops, but I want to get the rough shape first, so just drag selecting whereabouts I want them to be, and I can look at seeing where else I want to add in a few others. So it's definitely, if you see here, in case I'm not meeting the reference image at all, so I'm going to hold control with a mouse click, and go to W to move, drag it down, so there, looks fine. I think we probably need to have one here, and here as well, so let's have a look. So W, zoom in. This one as well, I think probably one more along there. Go the wrong one, something like that. So if I then go to shading, turn X-ray off, you can see what I've got there. Now my image plane is actually in the middle of my object, so I'm just going to move that back. So we've got rough sort of shapes, and then we're going to do like the rim, like border of that shield. So back to front view, turn shading back on again. Right click, go to face and just select. So I'm going to hold down tab and I can click and just paint select one of those. Control E, then go to offset. Hold down control so I can do like small incremental select. Bring it in a little bit, and then what I can do is right click, go to vertex and still move around. These vertices to where I want to put them. Again, just trying to match up reference image as much as I can do. Sometimes toggling X-ray on and off can help just to make sure you can see what you're doing. Something like that. So again, turn X-ray off so you can see. So all that's allowed us to do is if I go to face now, click on this edge and double click, I'll select all around the outside there. Then I can go Control E for extrude, and then I can go to the thickness and drag. Now remember, obviously holding control, if I don't hold control, it does it really quickly. If I hold down control, it does it incrementally. Something like that. You can play around with the thickness of that, it's fine. So that's the overall sort of basic shape of it. We're then going to have a look at doing like these extra little bits sticking out. Go back to front. Let's add in another cube. Now this cube at the minute is right in the middle of our object, so I'm just going to move it out so I can see it. Go back to X-ray again. W and bring it up into position. So we'll start to do this bit first. So let's add one edge loop in the middle. Go to vertices, W. Again, just try and match up with our reference. If it doesn't match up exactly, it's not the end of the world. We're just trying to get as close as we can do. Like that. So that has got a basic sort of shape. So you can see what's going on there. Now obviously what we need to do is have like these little beveled edges around those 3 edges there, so let's grab, right click to edge, let's grab those edges there, Control B. We can bring that in a bit more if we want to, about there, so you can see what's going on. And now let's start to add in those little divots, like those little cut-ins. So right click, go to face, Control E to offset, and just start to drag it in a little bit. Doesn't matter how much, because we're going to go to right click and vertices and move these ones. Now I'm going to move them a little bit further in than the reference image, because I don't want them to be too close to the edge, because it'll start to mess up a little bit when we start to do the next little bit. Like that. So yeah, if you see at the top, I've just put it in slightly. Do the same for these 2 bits. So let's grab that one, Control E, and just bring in the offset a bit. And then grab these, press W, don't get too close to the edge. I'm going to want to add in another edge loop, so I have to multi-cut again, come to the middle here, right middle mouse button click to make it automatically go to the middle, drag that down. Now I'm going to do edge loops, I'm going to do mesh tools and target weld, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually weld these 2 vertices together, so I'm going to just click and drag, because we don't want too many extra edge loops, and I'm going to go back to moving these into position. So you can add geometry in, and then you can remove certain like construction geometry once you don't need it anymore. So for example, I definitely don't still need that one, let's go to that. Okay, so then let's turn the X-ray up. Go to face, let's grab those, Control E. Let's take the thickness and bring it in a bit, like that. Let's right click, go to edge, let's select these outside edges, Control B. And I'll bring it in a little bit because it's going over this edge just a touch, so just bring it in just a fraction. And that's why we made sure we didn't go too close to the edge to begin with. Like that, and then see how it's looking. I can turn wireframe on shaded off, so you can see what we've got. Now we're not going to bother like subdividing and smoothing it because it doesn't need to be. The only thing I'm going to make sure I do is just go to the back here, the faces, and because we're not going to see the back, I'm just going to delete those faces, like that. And then all I'm going to do is let's grab this, W to move, and let's move it right down. So we actually want to have it in line with there, so then what we'll do, so R for scale, make it a bit bigger, like that. Okay, so let's start to do the other ones as well. So that's the more complicated of the ones, the others are quite a bit simpler. So let's have a look, let's go to the front, X-ray, let's just work our way around, we'll take this one next, go cube, bring it over into position. I'm just going to give this a save so it doesn't crash. Okay, so then let's, first of all, it's still going to be in the middle of our shields, let's just drag it out a bit. Right, we've still got symmetry on, which is what we want, but what I'm going to do is object mode first of all, rotate it, so E to rotate, just so that symmetry will be in like the right orientation. So W to move, let's drag it over here. Definitely need to add in some edge loops. But for this, I think what I'm going to do is turn off symmetry, because it seems to be messing up, because I don't think it's a perfectly symmetrical part, this bit, so let's just bring it up, like that. Okay. And then clearly we've got those beveled edges again, so let's go to edge. Grab those 4 edges, Control B. Let's just check. Looks quite good. The only thing I might do is I've already got an edge loop in there, so let's go to vertex W and move. Just bring this in a bit. Like that, looks a bit better. Yeah, about there. Shading and X-ray, turn it off. Like I did before, I'm going to delete the back faces because we're not going to see them, so there's no point in them being there. Just means it's a bit harder to unwrap and it's unnecessary, so delete those. Go to Object, W to move, drag it into position. Object, auto scale, let's just bring it in a bit. About there. And we will mirror that across, but for now, let's add in a sphere. W to move, drag it out. Go to front, we'll bring this over. What I'm going to do is just rotate it, so if I press E to rotate and hold down J so I can do incremental rotating. Like that. Then if I come to the right hand side, I can easily grab this half and delete because I only need half a sphere. Go back to front, shading and X-ray. Move that into position. That's R to scale it down a bit. Something like that. Then let's drag that down into position. Again, let's turn off that so you can see how it's starting to look. So it's starting to take a nice shape now. I'm going to give this another little save just to be safe. Right, let's mirror that across now. So let's select both those. We're going to shift right click, go to mirror. Oh, sorry. First thing I'm going to do. Okay, just as well I saved because that could crash. So what I'm going to do is grab both of those, mesh and combine. Then I'm going to shift right click, go to mirror. And when you get this pop out here, you can either mirror it on the axis based on the object or the world. And because we left this exactly in the middle, I'm going to change that to world. And we've got this on the X. And down here you can see it's going, the X is going left to right there. So it's actually used, that is our origin in the middle. And it's mirrored it right across there, which is what we want. Like that. Okay. Again, because it just crashed, I'm going to save it just to be safe. Let's do the next little bit. So come down to the front. X-ray. Grab another cube. Move this up. Oh. Grab this, move it down here. And again, we are going to be in the middle of our shields. Let's drag it out. Okay, so add another edge loop in there. Right click, go to vertex, W to move. Now I've got symmetry turned off for these ones because they don't seem to be quite symmetrical. It causes me a bit of annoyance. They weren't quite matching up right, so I'm going to have to do both of them at the same time here, which is fine. Doesn't take much longer. Like that. And we're going to need to have a bevel, so let's grab these edges here, Control P, make it a little bit bigger. X-ray. Again, grab that, drag that down into position. It's going to be a bit fatter, I imagine, or a bit longer rather, which it does. Object, out to scale. Okay, again, I'm just going to take this, drag it out, and just grab these faces again. Don't need these vertices to come through, so let's just drag them up a bit. Like that. And we need to have another one of those circles, so let's just take one of these, Control D to duplicate, modify and center pivot just to make sure it goes over the top. Oh no. So first of all what we're going to do is mesh and separate, then Control D, then modify and center pivot, and then I can drag it over. The whole reason why we center pivot is if you combine things and then mirror stuff across, the origin of the object tends to go back to the origin of the world, and you just want to recenter it so it's back on the object so it's easy to move about. Okay, so let's just turn everything back to normal for a second so you can see what we've got. So we've got most of the modelling side done. I'm going to give that another little save just to be safe. Let's have a go at doing this little part in here, and that's like the main body of the shape, and it's just these decorative bits here which are quite easy to do. So again, I'm going to turn wireframe on shaded on. I'm going to turn X-ray on as well. Let's grab another cube, bring this into position, drag it out a bit. Okay. E to rotate it around a bit. I'm going to add an edge loop there. Right click into vertices. There's not actually any majorly complex shapes in this, which is quite nice, but it's quite a fun little project to model. Just gets used to the idea of like box modelling, using primitives and reference images. Okay, and then let's grab these in just a minute. Just a little bit. Grab these edges. Again, Control B to bevel. And then we want to have another little offset like we did before on the first bit. Let's bring that offset in. much like I did before, I'm going to avoid getting too close to the edge in case it messes up when we come to beveling the actual edges of it. But something like that. Then let's grab those, Control E. Change the thickness slightly. Then grab the edges, Control B. Okay. That's gone quite well. Let's just grab back faces, delete, object, W to move, drag that down. I'll go to front, in fact I'll go to bottom, so I'll show you what I did last time as well. So I'm going to go to bottom view, shading, X-ray, because what I can then do is right click, go to vertex, there we go. Grab those and then drag it to make sure it meets up perfectly. Like that. So then shading, X-ray. Okay. Let's give that another save. I'm going to mirror that across, so right click, shift right click, right, mirror, change that to world. So you've got all those decorative bits. So this bit obviously we're going to add in Substance Paint to it like a decal. Let's have a go at doing these little decorative parts in the middle. So let's go to front. Let's then go to X-ray again. This time I'm going to grab a cylinder. Okay, W, and just move it out a little bit first. E to rotate, J to incremental. This time I'm going to hit T, and then what I'm going to do is subdivision, and then I'm going to change the axis. I'm going to change it to 3. And that gives me a triangle. So now what I'm going to do is right click the object, W to bring it up, E to rotate, R to scale, there. Then we also want to have those edges beveled, so let's just like there. I'll just do the same thing as before. We've grabbed all those faces, deleting those. So the whole point we're doing that is it just means one, we don't have to unwrap it. We don't have any unnecessary extra geometry that slows down your computer a little bit. So front. Okay, that's in the right place. We won't have that as fat as the other ones. Let's grab that and bring that down. Turn it off so we can just go on. About there. Grab that, Control D to duplicate, W to move, line it up, Control D to duplicate, W to move. Okay, so we've got our Triforce on there as well. Again, we'll just turn all that off so you can see how it's looking. And the last little bit is to do these decorative pieces. I'm not sure what you'd call those. Again, that's just annoyingly, autosave doesn't kick in that well. It's not like Infusion where we do it and like once you save it, autosaves for 5 minutes. Okay, so now for this, let's go to front, grab another cube, W to move, bring it out, Go to front again. Okay, we'll bring this up into position here. Right click, object, scale it a little bit, E to rotate, 3 to move, and what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to grab this face and go back to front again. So now what I'm going to do is with W to move, I'm going to hold down Shift, just create another extrude, Shift again, and then what I'm going to do is right click at a vertex, just roughly put the shape where I want it. Like that, and then I'm going to right click and go to face again, and hopefully it's got the same face selected, which it does. W, hold on Shift to move again. I'll do another one. Right click, go to vertex. Let's just move that one a bit over here. Right click, go to face. W, hold on Shift to extrude. I'll do all 3 now. In fact, let's do that. Then right click, go to vertex again. Drag select. Okay, like that. So we've now got that overall shape. Actually off. Only thing I have to do now is to grab the edges. Control P to bevel. How big can we make that? Can we make it bigger? Not messing it up. That looks good to me. Right click, go to face. Try that again. So let's take that, Control 1 to isolate. And let's grab these faces here. There you go. And then delete. An object. Control 1 to isolate. Let's just move this into position. About there. So again, let's give that a quick save. We'll mirror that across. Shift right click, go to mirror, change that to world. So we've got that across. So you can see we've got the overall, all the decorative parts on there. The only thing I'm going to do as well is let's just grab this edge around here, bevel it to give it a little bit more interest to look at. Like that. Okay, I don't need that anymore, so I'm going to grab that and select H to hide. So you've got the overall shape. Last thing I think I'll probably do is just give it like a basic handle at the back. So let's grab a torus, W, in fact no, let's do a cube, W, R to scale, now let's do it the way I was going to do it. Let's just do that. Let's grab a torus, W, odd scale. Let's change the something like that. Move that into position. Maybe a bit higher up. And let's something like that, nothing massively exciting, we're not going to see that anyway. Right, so what I'm going to do is save. Now obviously shields aren't completely straight like that, we need to have a bit of a curve to it. So I'm just going to select it all, go to mesh and combine, and then we're going to go to deform, non-linear, we go to bend. I've got that selected, so I'll do it again, deform, non-linear, and bend. So I've now got this bend thing here. If I go to attribute editor, I've got a bend here. Now if I start to do this, it starts to bend, but it's in the wrong direction. So what I'm going to do is grab this, each rotate, hold down J, takes a little bit of trial out sometimes to get it the right way around. There we go. There's something like that. Now we don't want that extreme of a bend, so let's bring it in a little bit. We only want a little bit of a bend. There you go, something like that. You can play around with that yourself a little bit, make it more or less depending how you want it. Something like that will be good. Object. Okay, so that is the modelling of our shield done. I'm just going to select it. Let's delete history or remove freeze transformations. I'm going to take this, just bring it above the grid for a second. Select it all, go to mesh and separate so they're all separate parts again. So that is the end of the modelling side of things. Let's give that a quick little save. So we'll stop there. We'll do the unwrapping in another video, but hopefully you found that useful and interesting. Any questions, email me at designwithsimon@outlook.com or please leave a comment down below.